What are your biggest takeaways from the team?
Hopefully their biggest takeaway is like, hey, we can keep getting better. You know, we still have time to keep building, and we still have time to keep improving on our wrestling. And really, like I said, a lot of it's just our mat savviness and our awareness of the situation of the match, whether we're up and we're winning and we can give a stall call or we can't get reversed. You know, a lot of different things. So that's my takeaway there.
Can you talk me through Chittum's tournament? And I mean, have you been able to have conversations with him? What's that been like?
Yeah, we'll debrief. I think the biggest thing with him is just keeping his head balanced and focused like this way, right? And not getting kind of crazy with your thoughts and with what's going on. Saw some craziness last night as far as just how he's throwing it out there and just not doing smart things, right, in that semifinal match. And then really good job with Downey. I mean, that was an excellent match, and you just not good tactics there at the end of the match. You don't need to throw double boots in. So haven't had a conversation with him, but that would be my message to him is, and it always has been, is like you've got all the tools. When you keep yourself on the right track, like you can do a lot of great things. And that last guy was a stingy guy, and that's maybe a different challenge. We're like, hey, you got to realize the guy's squeezing you and just holding on and not trying to do anything. You can't just let him sit there. So
MJ Gaitan kind of seems to turn it on this time of year. Is it a noticeable mindset shift in him, or what is it that allows him to kind of make these runs to the backside of brackets?
I mean, you talk about savviness. That's a guy who's got a ton of savviness. That's a guy who, when the lights are the brightest, sometimes he messes up and screws up, but, a lot of times he answers the bell. He answers the bell, and in the tight situations, he finds a way to end up on top, or he finds a way to not give up that point. So that's where he gets a lot of credit of just finding a way to win. Like I said, not even close to 100%, and he's out there just making it kind of happen. And at the end of the day, these end-of-the-year tournaments, that's really what a lot of it is, because they're all going to be close. They're all going to come down to questionable calls. And, in that moment, I think of a couple guys where we got a leg to finish. In those moments, are you going to stay in the moment and are you going to get the finish, or are you going to, lose it, right? So that's where he does a really good job, right? And that last match is a really dangerous guy, and we always, a lot of times guys like that, we say, hey, wrestle where you're good, and then don't wrestle where they're good. And he did an excellent job of that.
What does Panero Johnson need to do tonight to flip a result against Robuto from 3 weeks ago?
Panero needs to put a chip on his shoulder. He needs to put a chip on his shoulder. He needs to go and prove this crowd wrong. He needs to go and prove the country wrong. When he has a chip on his shoulder, he's a very dangerous guy. He's a very dangerous guy. So that is kind of my mantra for him, is like, go out there and just like prove wrong, right? And hopefully he does that. Our talk this morning was like, hey, like create something in your head so that you can go out there and like I said, I always say to them, hey, this is Oklahoma State crowd. I want them silent. I want them dead silent. I don't want any noise in there. I want you getting your hand raised, and I want them in awe of what they just watched.
Talk me through Evan Frost.
Evan, again, some really good stuff. I think he came back really well. That you and I match, I mean, you just can't get taken down 3 times in the first period. That's really tough. Yesterday was an off day, whether it was mentally, whether it was weight management, whether it was injury, whether it was whatever it was. That was a guy that was kind of like dizzy looking, right? I think today he came back and he kind of had the right look in his eyes, and he did a good job. That match, obviously, he dropped it, but I'm less concerned about that and more that, like, hey, we're going out there and we're competing. And he made really good adjustments in that match, where he started shutting those single legs, his offense down and getting to where he wanted to be. And that was unfortunate, kind of how it played out. But, again, you just mad awareness. And he's savvy enough that he should know better. Right? You got 2 cautions on you. You can't make that mistake. So.
And then looking at guys like Nate Schoen and Aiden Riggins. I mean, Aiden Riggins just
Yeah.
earned his bid to nationals.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you seen out of those guys?
Huge props to Riggins. Oh, here comes some noise. Huge prop to Riggins. Talking about a guy that's taken just a lot of lumps. And my communication to him has always been, like, hey, man, you've got the tools. You've got great offense. Just keep showing up every day. keep showing up every day, keep believing in yourself, and that's what he did this weekend, right? Because it would have been really easy. Things get tough out there. It would have been really easy to put his head down and quit and say, well, I'm not supposed to make it to the national tournament. And he chose not to do that. So hopefully he can keep that ball rolling and just, because again, he's a guy where once he starts believing in himself and believing that he belongs there and believing that he belongs to have his hand raised every single time, you're going to see a lot of really good things out of him because he can wrestle.
Nice.